you end up going up or down. So in this case, you're going to go up and you're always going to the right. So you have to figure out how many up you're going and how many right you're going. And where you start, that's 0. So you're just counting 1, 2, 3. The 3 up and how many to the right? Well, just 1. Because you don't count that 1, you count when you go to the right.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to give you one to try here, if you don't mind. Any questions though before I have you do that?
No, this is the easiest stuff. There was also we're also doing the stuff that was like it kind of led into inequalities. Is that more of the stuff that I'll see on the test? Like where
I
it
mean,
was like,
it's inequalities are not related to this at all.
oh,
So
that's
if you want us to go and do that, we can, but this is just graphing, line slopes, stuff like that.
I just remember there being something kind of similar when we were like calculating like the point of y or whatever, where we had to like reverse something. I don't know. There was
You
yeah.
do when you're solving inequalities. It's nothing to do with this though, that we're working on here. All right, so for this one, I want you to figure out how many up and how many to the right that you are going.
I think it's 7 up
Okay,
and 3 to the right.
okay, that is correct. All right, so the other direction that we could go is down. You always start there from left to right. Like when you read something, we know to read from left to right. It's very awkward if you try to do it backwards. When you go down, you always go to the right. So even if you're going down, you still go to the right. So you're going down 1, but down is always negative.
And it's to the left also. Wait, no, you wouldn't be.
You're never going left. That's I
Okay.
think maybe, you know,
Oh, never
it's the
mind.
way
You're
I
not.
would.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like when I'm teaching it, I'm very careful to never use that word. And I always say you start from the left, but I mean, you're always moving to the right. And so you count how many to the right, which in this case is 3. So your slope is negative 1/3.
So the bottom would always be positive because it never
Yes,
really goes to the left. Okay.
that's right. You cannot look at it from right to left. You have to go from left to right. Left to right. It's always left to right. All right, so let me give you one to try here. Let me know if you got any questions. And then we'll do some mixed review here on this.
-6 down, and
Okay.
then 2 right.
Okay. So this is correct, but this would not be the answer on the multiple choice. The answer in the multiple choice would be this. Can you tell me, can you look at this and maybe figure out why you think why it would be this?
Do you treat it like a division problem?
Yes, yes. So if you can divide the top and bottom by the same value, you do that. So it's really -3/1, which is -3.
I think that makes sense.
Okay. So let me give you a couple of problems here to try on your own, and then we'll move on. All right. So I guess I don't want to give you these. I was going to give you a couple of problems where they don't give you the points, but we'll do that later on. All right, here we go. I found 2 problems here. I'd like you to try.
Do you want me to
Yeah, why don't you give me
do
the
the
slope
full
of each?
answer?
Yep, give me the slope for each one, please.
What happens if they don't divide evenly?
You just leave them as a top and a bottom. So like are you talking about the first one or the second one?
Both, I guess, because for 3 I got 1/2, and for 4 I got -5/4.
Like this?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, I believe those are correct. Let me just double check here. There's 3 and 4. Yep, you got it. So if they don't divide, then they don't divide. You just leave them as a fraction.
Okay.
All right, so any questions on that before we move on to something else?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the next thing they would present in this part of the course is what's called the slope formula. So the slope formula is as follows: y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So these are what are called subscripts. It's when you have 2 different y's, you have to add a number to differentiate between them. And I think what's challenging is like knowing, well, why are there 2 numbers? Well, it's because you're going to have 2 points. Let me try to show you that here. So let's say I give you a point like this: 0, 2 and 4, 3. This is x1, this is y1, because they're from the first order pair. And then there's x2 and y2 because it's from the second ordered pair. And it's really important that you label them this way. It's really important that you go x1, y1, x2, y2 to use the formula. So to find the slope, to determine the slope here, you have to put these values into the formula. So instead of y2 here, you write the second y, you put a 3, minus the first y, which is 2, over x2 is 4, minus x1, which is 0. So what I want you to do is look at this, look at the ordered pairs, look at the x1, y1, x2, y2, look at the formula, and just try to make sure you see where those numbers go, like why they go in the position they go in.
Okay.
Let me know if you have any questions. Because if this is confusing, we got to take a step back and work on some other stuff. We can get to this.
So how would it look in a full?
Well, we're not
Like where
done.
the
Like we have
oh,
to subtract and then divide. Maybe we're not done, but we've started the process.
but where the 0, 2 and the 4, 3, were those just like numbers you picked to be the
Yeah,
example?
those are given. Yeah, you are gonna be given those numbers. There's no way you can do it without that.
Okay. Because that was a part that confused me, was how you would get the numbers.
All right, so 3 minus 2 is 1, and 4 minus 0 is 4. And there's your slope. So let's try another one. Let's give another example. Let's say it's 0, 1, 5, 3. So it's very important in this example to always label x1, y1, x2, y2. And your slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I want you, Riley, to tell me what number goes in the top left position. What is y2?
5.
Try
No,
again.
3.
3 minus y1. What is y1?
1.
Okay. And what is x2?
5.
And x1?
0.
Okay. And then 3 minus 1
2.
over.
5.
All right. So what about that is difficult for you? What do you feel like would be hard for you to do on your own?
Making sure all the numbers match.
Yeah, so you got to put all the numbers in the right spot, and then you got to be able to do the arithmetic, adding, subtracting here, maybe dividing. So I think we should actually spend a little bit of time here reviewing like some operations here. Let's say I gave you something like this. It ended up that the slope was 1 minus 5 over 2 minus 0. What is 1 minus 5?
-4.
Okay, and then 2 minus 0.
2.
Okay, the minus 4 divided by 2 is
Would that be -2?
yes. Okay, let's try another one here. Let's say a new problem. Let's say in the new problem here you get 4 minus 8 over 3 minus 1. Nope, I'm sorry. That was a mistake. I'm sorry. Let me redo this one. I don't want to do that. Let's go 6 minus 3 over 1 minus 2.
3. And then -1.
Right.
Um, -3.
Good. Okay, so these are kind of the easy ones, the vanilla ones, the plain ones. You can get some more complicated stuff. You can get something like the slope is 4 minus a minus 3 over 7 minus 8. Okay, so you got to be really comfortable with your signs. You know, two negatives make a positive. When you're adding or subtracting, you got a lot that could happen here. So give that a try, please.
Would 4 minus -3 just be adding 3 to 4? Okay, so 7.
Okay, over.
-1.
Okay, it becomes
-7 because they're opposite signs.
good. Good. So we're going to see more of these, and that's what you've got to get really, really strong at. You got to say, okay, if I get something like -2 minus 1 over 6 minus 0, what does this become?
Would the top be -3? And then 6?
Okay, and so does this reduce?
I don't think so, because the 6 is on the bottom. I don't know.
So they're both divisible by 3.
Oh. Mm,
You're dividing each of them by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is
1,
-1. 6 divided by 3 is
2.
2, -1/2. All right. So let's go back to some problems and see what kind of issues we run into when we start working on this. Um, so here we go. We've got the problems are going to give you 2 points and they're going to say find the slope. So what you want to do here, and this is really important, is you really want to label them x1 and y1, x2 and y2, just like that. And until you've memorized the formula, you want to write it over and over and over again until you can roll out of bed in the morning and know the slope formula. All right, so what is y2?
Um, 1,
Okay. Minus, what is y1?
-3.
So you got to be really careful here. You always show the minus. You always show the minus. If the number is negative after, you have 2 negatives.
Okay, so you can keep it.
You always
No.
have this subtraction, but you might have a negative there. Is that clear? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the point of confusion. All right. What is x2?
2,
Minus, what is x1?
0.
Okay. Go ahead and simplify this for me, please.
Mm, 4, 2.
Okay. Do they divide?
Yeah, it would be the answer would be 2, positive
Yeah.
2.
Good. All right. Do you have this example written down or is it clear enough? Because I want to give you one now to try on your own.
I'm writing it. I was writing it down. I was just.
Okay. Yeah, take your time. I don't want to scroll ahead if you haven't gotten it down yet.
It's mostly the order of like which one is. I gotta remember that it's x1 before, or that is x before y, and that y goes on the top and x goes on the bottom.
That is something we talked about last time. You know, x comes before y. The first number is x. Second number is y. You have to. That's part of the only way you can do well in this is to know that stuff.
I just have to remember where to put them in there, because then it's also always the 2 minus the 1 first, but then
That's right.
they're grouped in the pairs. So the order that it's in is you set it up like 2 minus 1, but the order is 1 and then 2.
All
One
right.
minus
So
2. Okay,
let me know when you're ready. I'll give you one to try here.
I'm ready.
All right. And, I will give you the slope formula here. I do encourage you to write it down every time. But yeah, go ahead and see if you can work this one out, please.
to be 5/1. And then,
That becomes
that,
just
yeah,
five.
just 5, because it divides.
Good. Okay, so we should do a few more here where you give you work these out. I'm gonna jump to a more difficult one just to see if we can do it. Because it's really repetitive. It's the same formula. You just have to identify the points. Let me snip in the formula here. Just do it nicely from the problem. All right, so here we go. So give this one a try, please.
Six. Hmm. I got 2/5. I had to use the calculator for the -5 minus -10 because I forgot the negative minus negative. And I'm not sure if it
Good. Yeah, your answer is correct. It becomes -5 plus 10, which is 2/5. So your answer is correct. The more you can do without the calculator, the better, honestly, but like this is a good start. It's a really good start here. So
so when you're subtracting two negatives from each other, it'll just be the positive of that answer. Like it would just be 10 minus 5.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
But if it were like -5 minus a -2, which is -5 plus 2, it's 2 minus 5.
Hmm. I don't get it.
Well, I think you like 10 minus 5 because 10 is bigger than 5. But are you okay if the second number is smaller?
I feel like I haven't really run into it that much. I don't know.
Okay, so we're at a point where you can do like I can just feed you problems to do, and I do think you could do a few more. We're also at a point where we could move on to other stuff, but I would recommend doing a few more problems.
Okay. I'll do a few more problems.
Okay. So here's one for you to look at. Same thing, you're finding the slope between 2 points.
It was both -6? Okay. Would it just end up being 1?
Let's take a look here. That does sound right. -2 minus a -6 over -2 minus a -6 becomes -2 plus 6 -2 plus 6, which is 4 divided by 4, which is 1.
Oh, I got 8/8, but it still made it
Okay.
out to the same thing.
Well, yeah, just because you get to the right answer, you gotta work on those signs. So that's really what I was concerned about, is most students, the signs are really the struggle here. So that's why I want to give you a few more to do. Like the next problem I'm going to give you, everything's positive. I think it'll work out a lot easier for you. So just want to check that here. Give you this one to try. Again, you can use the calculator if you want. I mean, goal here is to get the right answer. We're learning along the way. But yeah, take a look at that. Let me know what you come up with.
Is it 8/-11?
It is, but the answer would not be presented that way. So what you said here is correct, but it would be written this way: -8/11. So the negative, I guess, I'm sorry, not being clear. The negative goes to the top.
Oh. So if the bottom number is negative, I just make the top negative instead?
All right, so you ready for another one?
Mhm.
All right, so like I said there, I thought you would do fine on that one because everything was positive. It's really when there's some negatives that it looks like that's maybe the main challenge for you at this point. So go slow, work with your signs, ask me some questions if you got any.
Is the top 11? I'm not sure about the bottom.
So it's -4, -7. The bottom is -6 minus a -4. Do you have anything similar to this written?
Oh, I meant like the -4 minus -7. Is that 11?
It's negative
Or not
11. They're
negative?
both, yeah. They're both
Are they both?
negative, so you keep the sign.
Oh, they're both negatives?
Yeah.
No, the 7 looks like it's the only positive.
It's positive, but when you subtract, you can think of it as they're like you're adding a negative
Oh, I thought we used a sign from the bigger number.
when they're opposite in signs. Like yes, 7 is positive, but when you put a subtraction in front of it, it becomes negative.
Mm. I'm not sure
So
about the bottom one.
so these two negatives here make a positive. So now do you want to give it a try?
Would it be 10 on the bottom?
So there, it's opposite in sign, so it's negative. And then you take the larger number and subtract the smaller without the sign.
Isn't that a plus sign? Don't you add
It
4?
is. Yes, it's -6 plus 4. But when they're opposite in sign, you keep the sign up from the bigger one, which is negative, and then you subtract them, 6 minus 4.
Oh, so you do that with the adding, not subtracting?
You do it when they're opposite in sign. Like this is -6, this is +4. This is -4, this is -7. What goes down here on the bottom?
-2?
Okay. Now this is correct, but it's not the right answer. It's you still have something you can do here.
Would the answer be
Negative on the top and the bottom.
I'm not sure.
The signs cancel, so it just becomes 11 over 2.
Oh, okay. I thought it was dividing.
So there's a lot of arithmetic things that have come up today, so I guess we ought to spend some time reviewing those. So the first is when the numbers are same sign, you keep the sign, okay, and then you add the numbers without the sign. So it sounds really complicated, but like 4 plus 3, well, the answer is positive. That's part one. You keep the sign, they're both positive, and then you just add the numbers, so it's +7. -5 minus 2 are both negative. They're both negative. So the answer is negative. And then you add the numbers 5 plus 2 without the sign. -5, like, or sorry, -7. Now it could be presented like this, it could be like -6 plus -3. And they are same sign. This is just another way to kind of see it. Where another way it can be written. They're still same sign. And then you add the numbers without the sign.
Okay.
That's if they're same sign. The other possibility is they're opposite in sign. Okay. So if they're opposite in sign, you have to first determine the sign. You determine the sign by the larger one. Okay. Then you take the larger always and subtract the smaller. So let's take, example, -3 plus 8. Which is larger, -3 or 8?
8.
8. So we know the answer is positive. Then you take the larger and subtract the smaller. So it becomes +5. Let's try another one. -9 plus 6. Which is larger, the -9 or the +6?
+6.
Okay, so when I
Right.
say, so I gotta be careful here.
Oh,
So
you
this
mean
is not
9? You mean -9? You don't mean like
yeah,
actually on a number scale?
so the right wording is further from 0, which is further from 0. It is -9. A lot of students prefer larger, so I bet so your answer is negative. Then you take the larger and subtract the smaller without the sign. So this becomes -3. Okay, now could be that it's a 10 minus 4, but you already know how to do that. 10 minus 4 is 6. But it follows the same convention. It's positive because the 10 is further from 0. Then you take the larger and subtract the smaller, which is 6. But what about like 3 minus 5? Okay. Which is further from 0, 3 or -5?
-5.
-5. So we know the answer is negative, and you take the larger and subtract the smaller. So this becomes -2. Okay, now I did a bunch more examples on the opposite and sign, because that's the one that's more confusing. You have to get this down. Like for us to even do any more slope problems, you have to get this down. And then we also need to talk about the division stuff. But let's do a few examples here. So I'm going to give you 4 problems and see how you do here. All right, so why don't you try these 4 and let me know what you come up with.
So -4 plus 5, would that be or no, that's not a 5. -4 plus 7, would that be 3?
Okay.
+3. And then 3 minus 8, would that be -5?
Keep going.
And then -1 plus 6, +5.
Mhm.
And then
And the
5
last one.
minus 3, +2.
Good. And we can also do a few examples of same sign. So all right, so why don't you try these 4 for me, please?
Would -3 minus -3 be -6? Or would it, I'm confused on that one. Is
They're same
that right?
sign. Yeah, it's -6. They're same signs. It's negative. Then you take the 2 numbers and add them together.
So -6. And then 9 plus. Would that be +1?
Keep going.
And then 6 plus 3 is 9.
Good.
And then 7 minus 6 is positive 1 again.
Right, so this one up here is not correct. Go ahead and take another look at that, please.
-1.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about multiplication and division. So when you're multiplying, a positive times a positive equals a positive. A negative times a negative equals a positive. You just have to memorize this. A positive times a negative times a positive, equals a negative equals a negative.
So same equals positive, different equals negative for
Yes.
multiplying and dividing.
Same thing for dividing. I'll show the examples here. Okay, so for dividing, a positive divided by a positive is positive. A negative divided by a negative is positive. And then if you have a positive divided by a negative or a negative divided by a positive, in both cases, you get a negative. Like we talked about, you move the negative to the top.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where we go back and we do a couple more like slope problems, but I'll just give you the numbers to work with and you can see if you said, like, we're running out of time anyway. So we'll see if we can do one more here. So let's say the slope is 3 minus 4 over -2 minus 2. See if you can work that out for me, please.
-1 over -4.
Okay.
And then would that end up being positive?
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for you to be able to do the arithmetic with the numbers and know how to apply these sign rules. You have to be able to apply these sign rules to be able to, proceed. You just can't do it otherwise. So, all right, we are officially out of time for today. I'm going to go ahead and stop right here.